Douglas Coupland, effectively you're saying abandon your old brain. It's all over, basically. The internet's rotting your whole capacity to exist.
Well, it's already happened, really. Inside me and inside of you, our brains all seem to have changed a bit. And with that, everything's changed with it. The way we look at time, the way we look at space, culture, individuality, it's happening.
I love the way you look at people. Describe me now I'm just looking in your book here, which is absolutely amazing with its extraordinary references to... here we are, this one here. The description of who I am. Some young woman, 850 feet away, online 32 minutes ago, 28 years old, 5'5", 135 pounds, Asian. That's how we describe ourselves now, is that right?
Well, I think if you were on one of those online apps for hooking up, I think that's exactly how you do it.
But isn't the human brain actually perfectly capable of sorting this out? And aren't we already beginning to sort out, for example, the overflowing inbox? Just occasionally just say, damn it all, let's erase the lot.
I know that feeling so well. What I call it the extreme present. And what this means is that I'm 53, and growing up, I always thought the future was something that was out there. There was something sort of ahead of us. And then I realized about 2 years ago that we're actually living inside the future now. And we have this sensation, all of us, as you say, like too many messages coming in the inbox, so much data coming at us, all this new technology. But it's not going to go away. It's not as if technology is going to take a year off and everyone have a brain holiday. We're just going to keep inhabiting this extreme present more and more.
Are we? Because, I mean, previously when our souls have been afflicted by some ghastly ideological issue like maybe communism or Nazism or whatever it is, the human has prevailed. The human's been able to sort it out and deal with it.
I'm an optimist.
Well,
and I think a lot of what's happening right now is that you do have a lot of places on Earth, particularly China, where you have the amount of information that people are getting is rising. And it's a democratizing influence, don't forget that everyone around the world is now eating from the same soup dish called the Internet of Information.
But don't we think the Internet will democratize China? It kind of looks as if it is.
I had this amazing, I was meeting with the vice president of the Chinese Communist Party, and he was telling me how they have this 5-year plan, and every single person in China is going to have high-speed broadband by 2017. And I was, well, sir, I mean, have you thought about the unintended side effects of what you're saying here? And he's like, doesn't matter, Doug, doesn't matter. The fact is that the future of humanity is everyone on Earth, 24 hours a day, ultra-high-speed broadband. And because that's the inevitable future, China's going to get there first. And I mean, I don't know if they're driving a car off a cliff or whatever, but it made me sort of confront the inevitability and weirdness of this whole thing we're living through right now. It is an unprecedented historic moment.
But you say you're an optimist. You sound rather depressed about it.
Well, okay, I grew up in the 70s with Soylent Green and the Stepford Wives and all those movies that made the future look like by the year 2000, we'd all be living inside a grease canister or something. And here we are in 2015. Things are actually pretty good. So actually things are great. We're actually just kind of freaked out all the time. And maybe we shouldn't be so freaked out. And maybe, you know...
So we're suffering from brain overload? Because you actually say, you know, knowing it all is very boring, and we know it all because we can Google it all.
Imagine going back to you 20 years ago and say, John, guess what? In the future, you have any question, you can just put it in, and within 1/10 of a second, the answer to everything you've ever wanted comes to you. You go like, wow, that's so amazing. And yet here we are, human beings, it's like, oh, boring, give me something new. We're a dreadful species that way. We get so blasé, and so we get used to things so easily.
But look at your book. You've published it exactly the same way as the internet operates. Huge, big sort of, you know, internet addiction is new sex intimacy addiction, you know. I mean,
well,
that's not a book. You just tell me you've written a book. It's just a lump of words.
Well, maybe that's how we think now, in lumps of words, or that's being cynical. I think what we want to do...
Oh, you think it is a book?
Well, it's not just myself. There's Schumann Bassar and Hans Ulrich Obrist, who are beautiful, lovely, intelligent people. And we wanted to do a book that would have made no sense to anyone 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. What can you write? What story can you put forth that would baffle someone from 2001, 2002? Yeah. And On that level alone, I think the book does work. It is a quick read.
Oh, look, I confess
It's not
it works.
Buddenbrook.
It
It's not
works,
Buddenbrook.
but I don't feel it's the end of books. I don't feel this is the last book I'll ever read. I'll read books with little words in it, with words that are small print, that aren't in some extraordinary way. I mean, look at this, there's only 3 words on this page. You're a cheat. I've paid money for this.
What I noticed, okay, this year's Academy Awards, the only 2 real contenders were Boyhood and Birdman. And both of those movies, the stars wasn't so much Hollywood actors, it was time, and time was the star of each of these movies. And both were about trying to re-enter a state of continuity and that is maybe lacking from our lives. I do think that we have this thing built into us. It's called the 2.5-minute reflex. And it's a constant, like the speed of light or Avogadro's number. And that every 2.5 minutes, as a human being, you want to do something new. Like, I want to do that email, whatever. It's actually why most pop songs are 2.5 minutes long. It's because that's how long your brain wants a song to be. And until now, we've never really been able to indulge this. I mean, in the old days...
So much so that, unfortunately, we too have run out of words. I can't even spare Mr. I'm just going to say Coupland. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.